Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hand over the Made in India Light Combat Helicopter LCH to the Indian Air Force moments from now. And this is a huge push to Atmanirbhar Bharat program in the defense sector. The Light Combat Helicopter incorporates several advanced technologies and stealth features for effective combat roles. The advanced electronic warfare suite will also be used, that will be once again presented to the Navy. Now that will be used in several Indian Navy ships, including destroyers and frigates. But let me tell you more about the Light Combat Helicopter. Now this program actually commenced in 2006. The project worth $4 billion. It had its first flight in Bengaluru in 2010. This Light Combat Helicopter, according to the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, is equipped with cutting-edge technology and weapon systems. So it includes a 20mm cannon, 70mm rocket. It includes air-to-air missiles and air-to-ground anti-tank guided missiles. The Light Combat Helicopters are also equipped with anti-radiation systems and missiles.
The entire might of India's military is at display here. The big focus is, of course, on Atmanirbharta or self-reliance in defense. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hand over key Made in India platforms to the armed forces. And at this display here, several assets of the Indian military are being shown. It's also open to public. What we are showing you here is a K9 Vajra, the latest induction into the artillery in Indian Army. And in fact, this is being manufactured in India. It has a range of 40 kilometers. And most importantly, the K9 Vajra was inducted in Ladakh recently amid the ongoing tussle with China to enhance the Indian Army's firepower there. Also on display here is the T-90 tank. Again, it was deployed in Ladakh at heights more than 15,000 feet. It played a very crucial role in ensuring that there is deterrence as far as the Chinese forces are concerned. But the most important aspect is that today Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hand over the first light combat helicopter to the Indian Air Force as the push is on self-reliance. Along with the LCH, another important platform for the Indian Navy, the electronic warfare suite will also be handed over to the Navy, which is used to jam radars, ensuring that ships can defend themselves against missiles. Several drones that are made in India are also being given to the Indian Army. All in all, an important event to showcase India's indigenous firepower and the capability to manufacture important defense platforms. With camera person Pradeep Gupta, this is Abhishek Bhalla in Jhansi for India Today.
So it's the Rashtriya Raksha Samarpan Parv, and I quickly want to cut across to Abhishek Bhalla in conversation with R. Madhavan, the chairman of the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, because what is extremely crucial in this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the images that you see on your television screens are the drones and, of course, at this point of time, the light attack helicopter, the light combat helicopter of the Indian Air Force. It will be handed over to the Indian Air Force. Incidentally, these light combat helicopters have been operational in Ladakh with full weapon load at this point of time, at a time when there is tension with China. So they have been flying missions. Are they fully au fait? Are they officially a part of the Indian Air Force? How soon and how many remains the big question. And Abhishek, you were in conversation with R. Madhavan of the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So give us details. Tell us more about the light combat helicopter and how soon do we see their operational use at the line of actual control and wherever else they may be required.
Well, Gaurav, I just spoke to him and, he has given us an important bit of information. He's saying that in less than a year, within a year, 15 of these light combat helicopters can be easily delivered to the Indian Air Force. So a big boost for the Indian Air Force's capabilities today. Of course, it's just the one helicopter that's being handed over. But remember, this is a very crucial induction as far as the Air Force is concerned. The LCH was also used in Ladakh last year. So it's fully tried and tested in extreme circumstances, operating at more than 15,000, 16,000 feet with new weapon systems. So the fact that within a year he says that he can ensure that 15 of these that the Air Force needs as of now can be handed over is good news. But in time to come, of course, the Indian Army also requires these, and the Air Force also might want to increase its numbers. For that, the HL is working to expedite its delivery as well.
Stay with me, stay with me. We'll talk to you in greater detail about these light combat helicopters because they are extremely crucial. But before I do that, let's quickly listen in to R. Madhavan in conversation with India Today's Abhishek Bhalla, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, on these helicopters.
Altitudes, which is a very difficult terrain to operate in, and this will definitely prove to be a very important and successful product for us as well as for the Air Force and Army to use on that.
So the fact that this is the first combat helicopter of this kind can operate at heights up to 16,000 feet with payloads, what big impact do you think it's going to make for the armed forces?
Definitely, because there is no such helicopter as of now of this weight category with our armed forces. So this is the first helicopter in that weight category as well as capabilities that we are talking about. And the advantage, of course, is that since it is an Indian helicopter, later on, as and when the armed forces decide on any other weapon system, it can be integrated very smoothly and easily onto the helicopter.
So 40 of these have been cleared by Desi.
15 are cleared.
So how many are you going to in time to come? How many are you going to?
We are looking at a total order of around 150 plus.
150 plus, and
yeah.
Any time period?
It depends on the order book.
Depends right now you've got 15 orders.
Yeah, if 15 is there, I can finish in a year's time.
So 15 can be handed over in a year's time to any of the forces.
Yeah.
Sir, coming to LCA Tejas, if you can tell us what is the status of the Mark 1A, and then obviously...
The Mark 1A, we have got the order last year during the Aero India show. So after that, we have started work on that. We are supposed to deliver the first one in T0 plus 36, inclusive of the design. So the design activities is already going on, and by next year middle, we plan to fly the first prototype of this configuration, that is 1A configuration, and we are sure that we can finish the testing before the deadline. And the production also is parallelly going on. So we will be delivering on this one, March 2024, the first aircraft.
March 2024, first Mark 1A.
Yeah, that is T0 plus 36 happens to be that time.
Thank you for speaking to us, sir.
Extremely crucial, 15 of these helicopters can be handed over to the Indian Air Force. Now, it remains to be seen how many orders are placed. The question remains, Abhishek, the fact that at least one or two of these helicopters have been operating in Ladakh, flying along with the flying tanks, the Apache 64AE helicopters of the American-built helicopters. How are the Made in India helicopters performing? What have been the highlights, and what are some of the issues or niggles that still need to be addressed?
Gaurav, they are matching, the best in the business, and the reason for that is that, they've gone through various trials, tests in all kinds of conditions, and especially the, deployment last year in Ladakh was very crucial, because that deployment, which was part of a trial, was during a time when the Indian forces were enhancing their capabilities. So the LCH was being used as a helicopter that can be pressed into action at a very short notice. And it's only after that, when it ticked all the boxes, that the HAL and the Air Force were even more confident that the LCH is completely combat ready. And that's the reason why we are seeing that the first helicopter is being handed over to the Indian Air Force. The Prime Minister will be doing that. The big thrust, of course, is on self-reliance in defense. Other than the LCH, the Prime Minister will also be handing over several other drones that are made in India to the Indian Army, and also an electronic warfare suit to the Indian Navy, which can be deployed on ships. We are being told that it will be deployed on the aircraft carrier Vikrant as well. The electronic warfare suit will be helpful in defending Indian Navy's warships against missiles.
Stay with me, and for the benefit of viewers who are joining us at this point of time, I must tell you that this is an extremely crucial piece of information that is coming in. Light combat helicopters, why are they so important? They've been operating in Ladakh. So let me tell you a little more about this Atmanirbhar defense push in the Make in India helicopter. Let me break down this light combat helicopter for you at this point of time. They're fully indigenous, so they're made in India. That's one big advantage. Designed and developed by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. One big aspect about it, built to specifications given by the Indian Air Force for altitudes that Indian Air Force wants to operate in. 17,000, 18,000 feet altitude is where Indian Armed Forces are deployed. So they have some advanced features, including stealth features. There's tandem seating of pilots, one in front, one behind him, the pilot and the gunner. It has an advanced electronic warfare suite. Now, that's also extremely capable and required. Now, they are being test flown in extreme high altitudes in eastern Ladakh, at the Siachen Glacier area. They will replace, to an extent, the combat versions of the Cheetahs and the Chetaks, or Ranjits as they were called at one point of time. They are twin-engine helicopters with the latest Shakti engine, designed to operate at an altitude of up to 20,000 feet. Extremely crucial. Remember, at the Siachen Glacier, Indian Army is deployed at extreme high altitudes. Also, the fact that they come with these 20mm guns, 70mm rockets, the 20mm cannon and rockets, and with them are the air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles. The air-to-ground anti-tank guided missiles, extremely crucial, especially when you are protecting India's armor assault and ensuring that the enemy armor is neutralized. So Ministry of Defense says that they may be ordering about 12. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited chief was telling India Today's Abhishek Bhalla that they can prepare. They'll have, in the next 1 year, 15 helicopters ready should that order be placed. Now, these helicopters have been developed by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Light combat helicopters are all set to be a part of the Indian defense industry, and they're ready for the fight. Let me get you details of this Hellbird that's made in India.
It's true, the light combat helicopter can do what no other combat helicopter can. It can operate from India's high-altitude border battlefields in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh while still carrying meaningful weapon loads.
सबसे बढ़िया स्पेशलिटी है कि ये हमारे देश के लिए बना है। जैसे हमारे देश में बहुत अलग-अलग किस्म के टेरेन्स हैं, ऑल्टीट्यूड्स पे हिमालय की, ये आराम से ऑपरेट कर सकता है और हमारे ट्रूप्स को सपोर्ट कर सकता है। और दूसरे लोगों के पास कोई ऐसा कोई हथियार नहीं है जो इसके अगेंस्ट फील्ड कर सकते हैं।
This has to be seen against the backdrop of the Kargil war. That was way back then when we had attack helicopters. They couldn't come up to those altitudes because of performance limitations. That was when the Air Force wanted a weapon system with capability to reach those altitudes.
Sitting on the tarmac here in Bengaluru, this is one of 4 light combat helicopters so far built. The light combat helicopter is built to seek and destroy. And when it comes to that, this helicopter is formidably armed. With 70mm rocket pods, Mistral air-to-air missiles from France, a 20mm chin-mounted cannon, and the capability to deploy an anti-tank missile like the Indian Helena or German Pars-3.
The weapons are giving us good standoff capability. You're looking at rockets, air-to-ground rockets, which have been integrated with Also a growth potential in terms of laser-pointed rockets and air-to-ground missiles. You have the gun, a very accurate 20mm gun, which is slave to the pilot sight.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India defence program hasn't really taken off in the large-scale way that it perhaps was anticipated to. But helicopter programs like the light combat helicopter are proof that making in India has to be the way of the future. We're now going to show you the other helicopter programs by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. All of these developed and tested here in India. The LCH is a true blue made in India combat helicopter, the lightest in the world, and when produced at full rate, it will be among the most cost-effective. While Pakistan has ordered the Turkish-built T-129 attack and China builds the Z-10, the LCH will evolve into a far more reliable machine once in operational service, mostly because the demands that will be made on it. All that remains now is for the government to open its doors to the first combat helicopter specifically built for India.
So the light combat aircraft is now, according to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, battle ready. India Today now brings you up close and personal with India's new Hellbird. India Today, incidentally, is the only channel to fly on board the light combat helicopter, and India Today's Shivarur brings us his experience.
Say namaste to the light combat helicopter. It doesn't have a formal name yet, but it's already fit and ready for the fight. Developed and test flown for nearly a decade by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, the light combat helicopter is not just made in India, but custom built for India's unique battlefield conditions. From the deserts of Rajasthan to the super high altitudes of Ladakh. But what better way to get acquainted with the light combat helicopter than by taking a spin in one? I was invited by HAL's test team to strap into this helicopter and get a never-before taste of what this Swadeshi combat chopper is truly all about. India Today has been invited to be the first journalist team to fly in and experience the light combat helicopter developed and tested by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. This is India's first attack helicopters. It has missiles, it has rockets, it has guns, and we happen to be the first ever media crew who's going to get a taste of the light combat helicopter. For a flight in the LCH, I have to get into the full pilot kit. From overalls to flying boots. Joined by HAL test pilot Wing Commander Subhash John, we walk out onto the airfield to the waiting helicopter, soaking in the unforgiving Bengaluru sun. And it is here that I receive a crucial part of the flying experience I'm about to have. A combat flying helmet equipped with a helmet-mounted sight. An electro-optical system used by pilots to point various weapons at their targets. But more on that in just a bit. First, the inside of the light combat helicopter itself. Constructed with a sleek tandem cockpit rather than the usual side-by-side seats on other helicopter types, the LCH from the outside sports a stealthy front profile that also gives adversaries a smaller, harder target to latch onto. Wing Commander Subhash and I belt up, and then the engines come on. The rumble of the twin Shakti turboshaft engines come to life, rapidly turning the rotors into a steady chop. The helicopter is now ready to taxi out. With all checks done and cleared by air traffic control, the LCH gently lifts off. In airspace over Bengaluru, the light combat helicopter is put through a series of maneuvers, demonstrating its agility in the air and carefully customized flying qualities. The effortless handling that Wing Commander Subhash demonstrates at low altitude validates the years of tough flight testing that has gone into refining the LCH into the flying machine it is today. Returning to the tarmac after a 25-minute flight, I've just had the most personal possible tryst with an aircraft that stands on the threshold of Indian military service.
So what will the future attack helicopters look like? From the Apaches to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's Rudra helicopters, let's take a look at some of the machines, the future war machines that promise to be the real game changers in battle.
This is a real mix. From the world's most modern attack helicopter to a fully Indian attack helicopter. From a formidable Soviet-era attack helicopter to a utility helicopter kitted out for combat. This is India's present. But elsewhere in the world, the future of attack helicopters is already being scripted. The US Army is speeding towards choosing from among 5 futuristic concepts that will be the world's next big attack helicopter. In weeks from now, the US Army will eliminate 3 contenders from the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft contest and fund the development of 2 helicopter prototypes, built by the world's most experienced helicopter companies. The concept art has already taken the aviation world by storm. The first to unveil itself, the Bell Invictus. Then comes the Raider X, built by Sikorsky, the company founded by helicopter pioneer Igor Sikorsky and the same firm that will soon supply MH-60 Romeo helicopters to the Indian Navy. And finally, Boeing's yet unnamed contender in the competition. Boeing, builder of the legendary Apache that's already in Indian Air Force service, will be pushing its experience in the field of armed helicopters to be a front-runner in the race. 3 futuristic helicopters, 3 firms with massive experience and their own major strengths. As this crucial tournament races towards a decision, the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army will be watching from a distance.
This is a mega Atmanirbhar defense push by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Jhansi. So the Prime Minister will not only hand over this light combat helicopter to the Indian Air Force. Air Chief Marshal Vivek Chaudhari is in Jhansi at this point of time. The Prime Minister will also hand over drones that have been designed and developed by Indian startups to the Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Mukund Narvane. Now, the deployment of India's unmanned aerial vehicles, drones by the Indian Armed Forces is also proof, as the Army says, of growing maturity of the Indian drone industry ecosystem. The Ministry of Defence is formally dedicating a number of schemes to the nation in celebration of the Rashtra Raksha Samarpan Parv being organized from the 17th to the 19th of November 2021 at Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh. Now, all of this is part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations.